Crime is a show where I, Rich Slaton, read a true story about lawbreakers.
With his silly, fun-having friend, Jonathan Shefsky.
You do get silly.
I do.
You do have fun.
I do.
You even own some fun, which is, it's a good stock these days. I feel like the market's going up, and investing in fun right now, there's a future there.
Just hold on to it. It's rocky at times, but hold on to it. It's going to pay off.
Forget your cryptocurrency. Invest in fun.
Just hodl that fun, bros. Play the music.
Oh, you got me.
Yes.
Crime
Is the show that starts now.
Like right now?
Oh, yeah. Do your line.
Okay. Each week, Rich reads a real crime story. I don't know a word that rhymes with story.
And my homie John always has the hot riff. He really loves it when you send...
Don't send anything
them
to me.
him.
Don't you dare.
Crimepodcast@gmail.com.
Don't you send
Label
anything.
it John Shefsky. He loves them. Make sure the lighting's really good. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's good to hang out with you in the land of the internets. Before we get into today's show, I just want to remind you the importance of getting C3 Risk and Insurance Services.
You have to, because it's very saddening how dangerous this planet has become. You've seen the pirates and the earthquakes, and you know what can happen, but you could be covered.
Guys, you need insurance for everything. Home, auto, business, sports insurance in case your favorite team loses. I don't know if that's available, but
You can get breath insurance. People
Invent
have
it.
bad breath. Get it insured. Be careful out there.
head up our friend Joe Earl at C3 Risk Insurance Services, c3insurance.com. He'll give you a $25 Amazon gift card if you get a policy. Also, he will eventually give you his cell phone number, and you can call him at all hours of the night.
3 a.m. Hey, Joe, what's up? What are you wearing?
Are you wearing my policy? Because I'm sure paying enough you should be.
It should be, yeah, if it's long. It's written on legal paper, so it could cover Joe's.
C3 Risk and Insurance Services.
genitals.
Also, hey, I know that you're enjoying the show because you keep on listening. If you want, we have a Patreon now. We're back in the Patreon universe.
That's right. Digitally, we're begging.
We've got that on the Instagram and Twitter and in our bio thing. We put out new bonus episodes every week, and we have some more cool gifts and prizes and things coming along. So if you want to help us out a bit, go jump on that Patreon. But we're going to keep making this show either way because that's the only way we get to hang out.
Right?
Yeah, this is how we see each other.
That's how adults maintain friendships, is they make an excuse where they can tell their wives or their husbands, like, I have to go hang out with so-and-so because we're working on something together.
Most importantly, we're working on Saturday, March 17th at the Comedy Store, Crime Live! Guys, it's going to be super crazy fun. We'll be doing a live episode on
Super excited.
on St. Patty's Day.
Aye, laddie.
So come on out and enjoy that with Jeremiah Watkins. You can go get tickets at the Comedy Store website. We'll be linking that, of course, in the show notes and all of our social medias. If you hit us up, we might have some promo codes still left. So come on out, enjoy
I think
that.
we'll have the promo codes left. I mean, they're not a tangible thing. We can make them up forever.
Oh, we'll make up new promo codes.
Right.
Your promo code is you get admission, but also a kiss on both cheeks.
I'm not kissing anybody. I have a cold.
Guys, today, way better than anything we've said so far, is our fantastic guest, a hilarious comedian here in Los Angeles by way of, I think you started your comedy career in San Diego, if I'm correct. Yeah, put your virtual hands together for Brian Simpson!
Hey.
Yeah.
Just high level.
He's going to balance us out. It's called juxtaposition. It's part of art, Slaton.
Some people are like one, some people are like the other.
That's right.
I can't smoke down here, can I?
You can't smoke down here? No.
Can
I don't know. Are you familiar with the indoors versus the outdoors, Mr. Simpson?
It's a new concept. Usually the roof is the signal that lets you know.
Yeah, but people have different rules for weed.
That's true. Is it a vaporizer? Just say yes. and let's
Yes,
go. Is
yes.
it really? Well, there
Then
you go.
I don't know what the rules are.
That's right.
At the Comedy Store Basement Dungeon Podcast Studio. So I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. Mike Schmidt might peek his head in here and go like, well, yes or no.
Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
I've heard that.
That's most of the time.
I think that's the motto of most of the subjects of our show.
because you can get a rape charge if you do it most of the time.
Okay. Well, that's a perfect way to start this show.
Right. I don't want to get convicted of
when
a
it comes
crime.
to criminal law, you can't really apologize later. You're right.
I love the harmonious crime.
Thank you. Oh,
That's
thank
my
you.
favorite part.
Yeah, we've been doing vocal exercises to really get that tone right.
Yeah, we're not sure if we have like a mental disease or if people like it, but we do it.
Well,
so fuck it.
your tones blend together well. You're like a Garfunkel and the other guy.
Simon.
Yeah, him.
I'll be Paul Simon
Gary Stephen Krist
because I have darker hair.
was born on April 29th, 1945 in Aberdeen, Washington.
His last name is as like that of a potato chip in England.
Krist. Krist.
Oh, Krist.
Yes.
Like Christ.
Yes, like that, but pronounced differently so you don't seem pretentious.
Yeah, he's very Christ-like.
Yeah, I'm Gary Krist. How you guys doing?
Jesus Christ!
Man, Foreman Krist Christ really thinks a lot of himself.
Oh, dude. You need to allow Krist into your heart.
After a short time in Aberdeen, the family moved to a small fishing village in Pelican, Alaska.
Wait, Aberdeen in Washington?
Aberdeen, Washington?
That's where Kurt Cobain's from.
Dope. They're probably related, bro.
This is Kurt Cobain?
This is the story of Kurt Cobain.
Is it a crime that he killed himself? Because he owes us a lot more
It's
albums.
illegal, too.
He owes us another album.
What year was this?
He was born in 1945.
Okay.
So obviously the same year as
Kurt
Kurt Cobain.
Cobain.
Clearly.
He would have been 90 today if he would have just stuck with it.
His father, James, was a salmon fisherman, a job made difficult by the fact that his legs were horribly mangled from a plane crash. So when James took out their boat, he was joined by Gary's
You
mother.
said that sentence with like pleasure, expecting us to riff on it. Like his legs were horrible. They called him James Celtic Not for Legs Krist.
See, my plan worked. You did riff.
Oh, that's
Aha,
true.
I trapped you.
Oh, ficht.
Thirst trap. James was joined on the boat by Gary's mother since he couldn't use his legs, Aline, who was described as a well-intentioned scatterbrain.
That doesn't sound like very much fun
Shit.
at all.
So his dad had bad legs and his mom was kind of stupid.
Yep.
And okay.
Thank you for summing it up.
Brian Simpson, this is a show about criminals. So sometimes certain things lead to certain things.
You're right, you're right.
You will find a common thing with criminals.
Most of their dads have shitty legs. It's really weird.
Shut up, Slaton. No, this is a serious note, Slaton. Hashtag let's be serious for a second.
God.
You will notice psychologically, every single criminal that you read about will have horribly fucked up parents. I would say there's nobody that didn't have fucking fucked up
I would say
parents.
that there's evidence on this show within 50 episodes that he's wrong about that statement.
But you
Is
know,
it really?
You know what?
Yes.
Though? Also, I don't think that's a criminal thing. I think most people have shitty parents.
Oh no, it's like a Venn diagram. It doesn't mean it's not exclusive. So
okay.
just because you have shitty parents doesn't mean you're gonna be fucked up. I don't want to alienate the whole human race because we all have fucking fucked up parents to some point. But criminals also definitely have fucked up parents.
Mom and Dad would hire a babysitter for Gary and his brother Gordon when they went on the sea. But as time went on, finding a sitter in the town of 200 proved difficult.
So they left him with a salmon that his dad had caught. This is Jim. He's a very confident salmon.
Your babysitter's just big mouth bass. You press a button, clean your room.
Salmon with good legs, though.
I mean, that's the best kind.
Salmons don't have legs, Brian.
Oh yeah.
It became difficult finding a sitter in the town of 200 after Gary, annoyed over one sitter's instructions, fired a shotgun over her head before hiding in an abandoned doghouse.
How old was he?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, he's like a kid at that point, like a kid.
In the 40s?
Yeah.
And he's shooting shotguns at his babysitter?
I mean, not at, above.
Yeah.
That's a warning shot.
I kind of like this
Stop
guy.
telling me to eat my peas.
But who needs a babysitter and also a shotgun?
That's
Right?
a very good point.
You would think the dad would have named the shotgun.
You think a shotgun's a good enough babysitter?
Exactly.
And said, only use the babysitter if you absolutely have to.
Clack, clack, do your homework.
Yeah. Babysitter's
It's
coming out.
bedtime.
Lost my virginity to the babysitter.
Ooh, that's a Brother Lynch style virginity loss to a babysitter.
You're right.
Needless
To a
to
shotgun.
Hip hop references. Hope y'all are connect.
What's up? Needless to say, supervision was light. Some of his childhood antics could be chalked up to being a kid in rural Alaska, like swiping comic books from the store and blowing up an oil drum on the 4th of July.
Rural Alaska. Isn't that just Alaska?
Yeah. You never been to urban Alaska? There's 2 blocks in Anchorage? Come on. Juneau, there's a post office right down the street. This place is a city.
You never heard the hip hop group Eskimos with Attitude?
That would be awesome, dude. Coming straight out of what's a good town?
Igloo. I
Stildotna.
don't know.
Others were less whimsical, like the accusations that he stole cash from the school collection for March of Dimes, a charity for babies.
That's funny.
By middle school, he was already having, quote, frequent intercourse with other local kids.
By 8th grade?
Are you talking about talking?
Maybe even earlier.
When people say
wow.
frequent intercourse, I think they usually mean conversationally.
Yes, that's what they mean.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, intercourse only means conversation. I
Are
don't know
you
what
saying
you've
he
been
was
doing.
actually humping?
Yeah, he was banging people, dude.
At what age?
In middle school.
I didn't know
Okay.
I had pubes.
Which is
in
not
fucking
that weird
middle school.
now, but back then, oof.
It's not weird. It's not weird because everyone is trying to bang in middle school, but no one is frequently successfully banging.
In
people.
1954 or whatever, 56. Things took a turn at age 13. Gary came down with appendicitis while his parents were off fishing. For 10 days, he could barely move, unable to even remove his pants when he shit himself. Eventually, he braved the pain and went to the general store for food. But
I thought you were going to say the hospital. Why didn't he just go to the hospital?
the hospital on their 200-person island town?
Yeah, there's probably not that long of a wait in the ER.
That's a good point. but the owner refused because his parents' account was already overdrawn by $300.
You don't think he would have been like, well, your pants are covered in shit and you're sweating profusely because of your
I have a feeling that they were a
Here's some
garbage
NyQuil.
family, though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Like they were smelly and they had a bad reputation?
They just had a bad reputation in general.
Yeah. Okay.
So that night, Gary did the only thing that made sense.
Jacked off till he fell asleep. We all do that.
He went back, he covered the store in gasoline, and burned it to the ground.
Oh, dude. That's Alaska. I just wanted to stay warm.
Well, I love some good revenge. You know?
And that's I think you might love this then, man.
Everyone's done that, though, right? Where you
Burn a
just-
store to the ground because they didn't give you food?
Not literally burning the store to
Always.
the ground, but like, you know, like you go to a 7-Eleven and you go, can I use the restroom? I need to use the restroom. And the guy goes, no. And you're like, I know you have a restroom, and they won't let you. And then you just go outside and just pee on the door. Everyone's done that.
Pee on the door?
On the door?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever done that.
Oh.
That's epic.
Well, neither have I. This isn't a confessional
I peed on the
podcast.
building. Maybe the back door.
Yeah,
Ooh.
a back door.
I remember one time this douchebag in an
can't pee on the
iridescent
front door.
painted BMW, like almost ran over my friends in a parking lot. We were in high school.
And you peed on the door?
No, he parked and went inside, and he left his windows down, so my friends all just peed through his window into his car.
Yeah.
funny.
It's a serves you right kind of thing, because it's not going to kill anyone when you pee. It's not going to ruin anyone's life, but you peed on something.
Gary's first arrest came in 1959 at the age of 14.
So he was not arrested for burning down the store.
No, no one ever caught him for that one.
This is like in hindsight in doing the story that Slaton found this out, but like they didn't know when he was 13 that he did it.
When he and a Norwegian friend went on a drunken rampage of burglaries and weird sex acts.
Which is how the cruise line Norwegian was founded.
Soon after, he violated his probation by stealing a car.
I thought you were going to say he violated his friend.
He was sent to the Utah State Industrial School, a juvenile reform facility just north of Salt Lake City.
Ooh, man, send me back to Alaska where there's people and things to do. Am I right? Salt Lake City.
Man, there's no. Do you guys happen to have a shotgun babysitter anywhere around here? Nope. I'm heading back up north where the days are long and the guns are sexy.
That's an interesting term, or what do you call it, saying for Alaska. The days are long and the guns are sexy.
Twice he tried to escape and failed, which is somewhat ironic given that the facility was nearly shut down in 1963 because of too many successful escapes.
Now that is perfect.
Yeah, you're the one guy who didn't make it.
You couldn't escape from the place that was getting shut down because too many people were escaping.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
It's ironic, and it makes you kind of have a little empathy for what this guy struggles with.
Despite trying to break out, the institution eventually let him attend public school off campus, where he earned straight A's and worked for the school paper. He was released in 1961.
Then he went back and burned the place to the ground.
That's what he does. He just burns places.
How old was he when he was released?
Probably about 8. He was born in 45, so 16 or 17.
Okay. So he did a few years in this prison. Mm-hmm. Okay.
In August of 1963, Gary was set to begin classes at the University of Utah to pursue a medical degree.
Oh, great. This
But
guy's gonna
then
get-
his girlfriend got pregnant. So he stole an El Camino and fled to California.
as anyone would do when their girlfriend gets pregnant and there's an El Camino by
with
it.
the girl.
No.
Brian,
no.
you don't bring...
There's not room for a pregnant chicken in an El Camino.
Yeah, you don't bring pregnant sand to the
An
beach.
El Camino's where you knock them up, not where you keep them once
Yeah,
they're
I
knocked
don't know,
up.
but you guys are acting like this guy is just full of logical decisions here.
Depending on how you think, what he did was
Every
very
decision he
logical.
makes seems to me to be on the straight and narrow, Brian Simpson.
Where we're at.
He got out of jail. He wants to finish medical school.
He's a sociopath.
I mean, I think he's just overly empathetic, and he needs to remove himself because he feels so much. Within days in California, he stole another car, wrecked it, and found himself serving 14 months in the California juvenile system. After his release in December of '64, he made his way to Palo Alto, where his brother was studying at Stanford.
Do you think, like, if you get arrested and go to jail enough, it starts to not bother you as much? Like, for us, like, the seal isn't broken. So to us, like...
You
it's
never
like,
been arrested and gone to jail?
I've gotten close to getting arrested, but I've never actually officially been booked. I had very nice cops and sheriffs where I grew up.
I have. They got really angry because I wouldn't stop, like, kind of smiling during my photo.
Because you were excited. You're all, I'm punked. Oh, yeah, because you got arrested, like, in a hippie, like...
A
in,
protest,
like,
yeah.
I was protesting. I'm like George Carlin. Yeah.
After his release in December of '64, he made his way to Palo Alto, where his brother was studying at Stanford.
Oh, my God. This guy found...
His brother went to Stanford.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's also brilliant, by the way. We'll get there, too.
Okay.
Within 4 months, he married Carmen Simon, a girl he met at Redwood City Roller Rink.
Oh, yeah. Roller rink girls, you marry them when you find a good one. You know what I'm saying?
You seen those shorts, dude? They can do the splits.
Woo! They can role play. You want to go for a walk? Like, nah, let's go for a roll.
Their honeymoon came in the form of visitation during another 4-month stint for car theft.
Oh, dude, this. So that's what I'm saying. He's just so comfortable being arrested now. Like, it's scary for me to be like, I don't want to stand in front of the judge and have them say like death or death penalty. But these people get so used to it that they're just like, yeah, I'll just go to jail. It takes a little bit of time. I'll get my meals. I'll get to rest. I don't have much to do. I don't have to worry about a to-do list in jail.
Honey, I know you thought we were going to go to Hawaii for our honeymoon, but we can't be there. But I do have a luau of sorts. Here's a rat that I've been cooking over a pencil for a few hours.
Oh my God, I married the perfect man. You're just like me. I don't even have to say it.
It's like, baby, you want that car? That car right there? Okay.
Well, here
Anything
you go.
I want, he gets it for me.
For their 1 year anniversary, he got her a car.
Literally got with quotation marks.
Yeah, and he got himself a 5-year prison sentence.
Oh, dude. Did he even get laid from getting her the car? It's like, here's your car. You got to make love in it, and the cop.
She was definitely gone by the time he got out.
On November 11th, 1966, so not all that full 5 years, Gary and his cellmate used a hacksaw to cut through the bars of their cell, leaving dummies in their beds before slipping out the window and carefully replacing the bars.
Classic.
How did I get a hacksaw?
It's prison, bro. You can get anything. A PlayStation, a pony, like whatever you want, man. In fact, honestly, if you want things, prison's a better place to be than out here.
Look, guys, here's this perfect tool for you to break out of here.
They found a scaffold, pushed it next to the fence, and began to climb over. Somehow, a tower guard noticed them. After a warning shot, he took aim at the escapees, shooting and killing Gary's accomplice at 146 yards.
Whoa, shit just got real.
Got real,
People have
real,
not been
dog.
getting killed in this story yet. All of a sudden,
That's not that impressive of a shot.
146?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the farthest target you've hit from
marksman.
distance?
I've hit a target at 500 yards.
At 500 yards?
Every Marine has done that.
Every single Marine at 500 yards?
Every single
isn't
one.
500 yards 1,500
There's
feet?
not like a doofy Marine who's like, I can only hit 498.
Isn't that like 1,500 feet, 500 yards?
No, it's 200. It's 200, 300, 500.
You have to get rated to all three of those levels?
Yeah.
Isn't
Oh,
500,
shit.
isn't 500 yards 1,500 feet, or am I wrong?
I don't know.
There should be a lot more Marines in the NFL if you're hitting spots at 500 yards.
No scopes either.
Damn! Just iron sights?
Right through the sight.
Yeah.
That's
Do you,
some
do you like gauge for
It's
the
really
wind?
not that impressive, huh?
Do you gauge for the wind, or
Yeah, you gauge.
Do you have to get the Coriolis effect in at that distance?
No, but honestly, if you ever did it, you would understand why it's not that big of a deal.
Okay, I get it.
Because 250 is the minimum,
yeah?
Oh, okay.
and you should be nailing shit at 250.
Damn, I am not getting in a firefight with any Marines.
Isn't it?
I've been thinking about it for a long time.
Were you going to before this fucking conversation?
I was going to get into
rip the
rifle
purple shirt and strangle.
I was
going to
go rifle deathmatch into the league, but there's a lot of Marines who have signed up for rifle deathmatch.
They'll take your purple shirt.
Not 250, 200. 200 is the minimum.
200 is the minimum.
They'll put it through
That's
your
two
throat.
football fields.
They'll have part of it hanging out of
Yeah.
your butt and the other part hanging out of your mouth, and then they'll spin it around like they were going to whip you with a towel.
Ooh, I'll be like the rat they ate on their honeymoon.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, look, a headshot from 500 yards is still impressive.
Okay.
But just hitting the target is probably something that you should be able to do. You know.
Yeah.
Well, he hit this guy, and Gary made it over the fence and escaped into the darkness, reuniting with his wife and newborn son, Vince. But he was nervous because not only had he escaped, was he escaped felon, but California law allowed capital punishment in cases where an escape attempt caused a death.
So now he's busted because even though he didn't kill his friend, it caused the death.
So he could the death penalty is on the table.
Wow.
So now he needs to disappear.
Hey, you said he had a newborn son. How long was he locked up? I thought you said a few years.
No. I mean, not very long. This
Okay.
one, he got a 5-year sentence, but he escaped from prison during that
Like
sentence.
he knocked up his wife, then escaped before. Okay.
There you go. Boom.
She gone. I can't wait till we get to the part where she gone. She ain't gonna be there.
So he needs to disappear. So he grew a beard and moved his family to a trailer park just outside of Boston, where he answered a want ad, landing a job making $7,500 a year, at the time the equivalent of about $55,000, as a lab tech at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT.
MIT. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Whenever I
know.
say MIT, people go like, "Yeah, you're IT."
How do you go from a felon to that?
Well, he's under a fake name
Okay.
as
For starters,
as George Deacon.
And he grew a beard. He grew a beard too.
George quickly gained a reputation as one of the most talented lab techs, especially given his lack of formal training. He could read.
He could read a lab result. This guy and his petri dishes, so impressive. His eyes, you could just see that's a bacterium.
He could read basic introductory books on subjects like complex physics or cryogenics, and by the next week, hold intelligent conversations with experts at MIT.
Yeah, it's called listening to podcasts. We all do it.
Oh, because he's a professional bullshitter.
Shockingly, he was also super obnoxious, constantly bragging about his high IQ.
Oh my God! Listen, we all have high IQs. We're in Hollywood. You don't see us bragging.
Dude, the big thing, one thing about
Nothing on
these
that?
stories is if you're ridiculously smart, learn to not brag about it, because so many of these criminals are just like, hey man, I'm way better than you.
But Slaton, what you
Why-
forget,
where are you going? Why are you angry?
For a lot of these people, though, and I'm not saying for the human race, it's about connection. And a lot of those people, they don't have other things to connect on because they're scheming and robbing and shit like that. And so that's how they feel like they're going to connect with you, is like by impressing you. You know what I mean? Like that's their way of pulling up in a Lambo.
Still,
It's tacky, but it's their way of pulling up in that Lambo.
his abilities stood out, catching the eye of Dr. Henry Kolm,
Hello, I am Dr. Henry Kolm.
who was developing early maglev train technology at MIT's National Magnet Laboratory.
I'm developing early maglev train technology.
Do I need to bring Joe Dosh back in here
You
to
need
Captain
to
Obvious the fuck out of you?
I'm going to smack you.
But he wasn't the only one looking at George Deacon. After 18 months, Gary was starting to feel like he might be gathering too much negative attention for his constant conflicts with his coworkers.
So this guy just couldn't keep his head down and just be cool. He
not at
had to
all.
be an obnoxious piece of shit, and he's probably going to get what's coming.
Luckily for him, Dr. Kolm returned from a business trip with great news.
Good news, everyone.
The University of Miami's Institute for Marine Science was looking for a lab tech for $8,500 a year.
Oh, he's trying to send him away?
So he and his family, now with 2 boys, left their Boston trailer park for a Miami trailer park.
Oh, man. From, one out of the frying pan and into a
I mean, that's actually a better trailer.
That's a come up.
Yeah, that's a come up.
Yeah, so you don't have to have sweaters in your trailer park now.
Yeah.
But when you tell people you're from Boston versus Miami, you get such a cooler reaction.
Yeah, but you're in Miami.
That's what's up, dude.
That's true. That's where the Bang Brothers films, right?
Yeah, there's cocaine, there's sunshine.
Right?
The two main exports of Miami, cocaine and sunshine.
Cicadas in the trees that you could eat if you're poor. I mean, yeah.
The job was pretty great, running maintenance and supply for the Marine Institute's fleet of research boats, spending weeks at a time at sea in Florida and the Caribbean. Aside from living in a trailer to avoid the law, life was pretty good.
Oh, because he's still on a fake name.
He's still a fake ID. He's still
So
a
he's
complete
got to
fake
stay
name.
under the radar.
So even though he's making like the equivalent of $60,000 a year now, maybe even more like $65,000 a year.
He can get a Nissan Altima and just go out for Chili's anytime he
But
wants.
he's living in a trailer park because he can't like be public. He has to keep it quiet.
You can have a decent trailer park lifestyle.
Sure.
I've seen some nice trailers.
Sure, I get it.
I've been in some. I've spent the night in a couple.
Until September of 1968, when he set sail on a 2-week science expedition to Bermuda aboard a marine research ship called the Pillsbury.
Oh, because it was like a dough-like. It was a big fat.
No, it's because the horn that they had went, hoo-hoo.
Slatey Boo, that was good.
It was there that he met 25-year-old Honduran grad student named Ruth Eisman Scheer,
Hello, I'm Ruth Eisman Scheer.
the daughter of Austrian Jews who fled from Nazi persecution. Ruth was smart, pretty, and a petite 5'2".
I'm listening. How she look? She got nice eyebrows.
She could steal a car, boy.
She spoke 4 languages, had a charming disposition, and pronounced Gary's fake name George as Schorsch.
And she had this big pale booty that Jewish girls have. It looks like tapioca.
She's actually, dude, I'll show you pictures later. I think
Just wanna
this
bite
might
it.
be the most baitable for you of all the criminal ladies we've had on this thing.
All right.
I didn't know Jewish girls had like a specific kind of booty.
Well, listen.
Yeah, good booty, dude.
There's some.
Really?
Well, there's different strains of Jews, right? So we've got the Middle Eastern Jews, which are
Good booty.
gorgeous, and then we've got European Jews,
Good booty.
gorgeous. We've got the like super Russian-y Jews.
Yeah, but this is
amazing.
in the 70s with like the white girl 1.0.
Yeah, Escape from the Holocaust.
Remember, she's
Jews?
also
Those girls
she's
are
from
hot.
Honduras, so now she's got that
Oh,
little.
right.
Yeah, you're talking. We're talking to
So I was thinking like,
She's got that plantain booty, dude.
That's right. Whole milk of the old days.
But more important to Gary, the hot-blooded young woman
Believed his stupid lies.
was DTF.
Oh, she was horny.
After
Yeah.
2 kids, Gary's sex life had slowed down, so he was delighted to discover that his new girl was down to experiment.
What does that mean with beakers and stuff? Since they're scientists.
By the time that Pillsbury returned to Miami on October 7th, he had a collection of dirty Polaroids, and she knew his real identity and criminal past.
oh my God, this boy tripping. You don't trust hoes.
That thirst trap, dude. By December,
So this chick knows as much about him as his wife.
and he knows as much about her as any photographer who's a creep.
That's awesome. Photography's great.
Come on, but then
Huge fan.
your wife back home with the magic bullet. You stupid.
I think that's the history of mankind. Is your
So
wife's
that's-
at home raising the kids, and you're raping and pillaging and destroying villages, and you got a girlfriend.
He's got to kill one of these women.
You have to.
Yeah, there's too much out there.
Out of mercy for them.
Public
You
service
gotta-
announcement: do not become Brian Simpson's side chick because
You
you're
will die.
By December, Gary told Carmen that he was having an affair and no longer loved her. So she packed up the kids and moved back to California, and Ruth moved into the trailer.
And
She didn't turn him in?
She just said, fuck it.
Woo, they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, right?
There's still some good women out there that won't turn you into the cops. Come on.
Just because you threw them away after they stuck with you through thick and thin in prison
Well, they could
sentences?
say they could separate it. A good person will say, "Look, our relationship didn't work out. I still don't want you to go back to jail."
Okay, you remember when he first went to jail? What did I say? The first thing I said was, "She ain't staying with
Yep.
you." Because I don't know any women that will stay with you through a 5-year sentence.
But she did.
Well,
She
maybe
stuck with him.
5. But yeah, that's my point. Now I don't know. I
then
know
he
for
fucked her
sure.
over.
I don't know a single woman that they stick with you through a 5-year prison sentence, have to change their fucking identity and move from state to state, and you still fuck somebody else.
He might be a
And they just
romantic.
go back home. They don't do anything to try to get revenge.
This was cool kids' time. This is the 60s, bro.
It's
Free
the right,
love,
It's the
you
right
know?
we don't know this guy. He might have threatened her. Though.
I
He
don't
might have been
know.
like, "And if you turn me in, I'm going to kill you." I don't know.
I don't know
maybe.
a single woman that wouldn't destroy you.
Yeah.
With the kids and his
That's awful.
anti-swinging wife out
like,
of the way.
That's like getting a girlfriend like deported or something like that. It's like just break up. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's how I do most of my breakups is I get my girlfriends deported.
Yeah.
Go on with your fucking story, Slaton.
It's a wonderfully passive-aggressive way to avoid it.
It is.
Gary,
You're never going to run into her again. You know why? She's going to be in Haiti.
with the kids and the anti-swinging wife out of the way, Gary could finally focus on his dream. Since he was 14 years old, he'd been thinking and planning the perfect crime. His time in California prison gave him the opportunity to do research.
How is prison always crime school?
See,
it never
I'm a little
helps.
disappointed because I thought that when your build up to the perfect crime, I thought y'all were gonna crime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like he was gonna go, like,
Sometimes-
you know,
Sometimes we do, but sometimes
Build
I'm
up
just not that
to
far
the
ahead.
perfect
Crime! There we go.
Thank
Oh,
you,
that was a
Brian.
3-part.
Brian keeps us on point here.
He learned from other criminals' stories, and now he had the opportunity to pull off the perfect
Crime.
kidnapping.
You piece of shit.
Based on his deductions,
He wants to do the perfect kidnapping?
Gary
This guy
concluded
is a POS.
that most kidnappings failed because of poor execution and planning.
True. That's most crimes.
Ignoring the fact that he had already been arrested for car theft 4 times, he believed that proper preparation combined with his high IQ would guarantee success where others failed. He had worked out every detail: how to pick the target, hold the victim for ransom, contact the family, pick up the cash, and make a getaway. Now he had his final piece, an accomplice. Picking the
his
target.
chick?
Yeah, his new chick. His new DTF Polaroid fuck chick. That chick. She's down.
Really?
She's down to fuck. She's down to kidnap.
This makes me sad. This Jewish
She's down
broad,
to binge watch.
This Jewish broad doesn't have a moral code? I'm kind of bummed. Or a decent moral code?
Picking the target was the first and perhaps most important step.
You know when you get hurt when it's like your own people and you're like, guys, like you're making us look bad. Like, come on.
Please.
Yeah, really?
Gary decided that it should be a young woman. Men presented a potential physical obstacle, and children were simply annoying.
Yeah.
You don't want to kidnap a kid. Come on, can I have some juice? Fuck, can we just kill this kid already? The money's not even worth it.
Of course. You
You don't kidnap somebody that you're not willing to kill.
That's an interesting point.
I've never heard that one before.
I'm willing to kill all y'all.
You don't kidnap someone you're not willing to kill. It's almost like you don't point a gun at someone you're not willing
It's
to
like
shoot.
you don't hire somebody that you can't fire. Like you don't hire your mom. You don't hire your
Well, that's
brother.
of course, but I've never had the ethics codes of kidnapping before. Like, there's a couple rules for kidnapping.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is be ready to kill someone.
Gary spent weeks in the Miami library, scouring social records and newspaper clippings to make a list of 100 possible victims. He narrowed it down to 10, eliminating names one by one until only one remained. Barbara Jane Mackle was a 20-year-old junior at Emory College and the daughter of wealthy real estate developer Robert Mackle. Robert's father started his business by building cheap, identical houses for soldiers returning from the war. Robert and his brothers expanded on the idea, pioneering what are now common planned communities.
Shitty track homes, like the Edward Scissorhands.
These guys basically were the leaders in developing that in the first place.
Oh, thank you guys. They should kidnap the whole fucking family.
I always think of that little boxes
Yep.
made of ticky tack.
These guys did
from
it.
Weeds?
100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up in that. I also love the suburbs, but I'm like, you could have just done a little bit more zest and personality in these fucking houses. It looks like a corporate prison. Go on with your story, Slaton. What the fuck happened to the human race?
The business exploded, and by 1968, it was publicly valued at $65 million.
Today's value, $140 billion.
Even Richard Nixon owned a Mackle in Florida, the home serving as his unofficial winter residence during his presidency.
It's where I go to jack off.
Yeah. With 2 fingers only.
That's right.
In the winter of 1968, Barbara was supposed to fly home on December 20th after completing her exams. But the Emory campus was hit by an illness spreading across the country. On the 12th, she called home to tell her mother that she had the Hong Kong flu.
What is that?
No idea.
That's like an old racial thing they used to do. We'll just blame it on the Asians.
It's a flu that makes you hungry every 30 minutes.
It's like you're uncontrollably attracted to Asians.
Yes, which is weird. Every Jew happens to have Hong Kong
It's
flu.
like yellow.
really
It's
strange.
like yellow fever.
I was just going to say the dad's like, oh, yes, honey.
It's like yellow fever, but men, just like Asian men.
Baby, I didn't mean to have sex with that Asian lady. I'm just ill.
Yeah.
I need antibiotics.
Antibiotics.
Yeah. Anti-Asians. That's what I need to solve my Hong Kong flu problem.
Why not anti-A-Asians?
With the school infirmary overflowing and low on medication, Mom flew out to Atlanta, pulled her daughter off campus, and rented a room at the Roadway Inn.
Oh, this is going to fuck up your kidnapping
where
scheme.
she could care for her daughter and help her get through finals.
I've never been brought to a motel to be made well again.
Is he doing this crime on his own?
No, he's got his chick.
He's got his chick. He's got Ruth the Jew chick. He's got his Jew broad.
His Jew broad. His dark and evil crime.
I want to see pictures.
Couple.
Oh, there will be.
There will be
Don't
pictures.
Worry. There will be pictures. On Tuesday, December 17th,
I drink your Jew milkshake.
the women awoke to a 4 a.m. knock on their door.
Maintenance.
The knocker said he was a police officer, and Barbara's boyfriend, Stuart Woodward, had been injured in a car crash.
Wait, how did this guy know that she went to a motel? He's been casing her?
So what he did was he went to campus and told people that he was a scholarship investigator, and then the campus registrar gave him her dorm number, her dorm room. So he went to the dorm room, and then one of the other dorm mates were like, "Oh, she left because she has this flu. She's at this other hotel." And he went to the hotel and watched for a while till he figured out what room they were in.
This guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Also, you can just tell people you're a scholarship investigator. Make up the.
I didn't even know they had those. I want to start saying that just for maybe get some perks.
I'm a grade adjudicator. Can I have your social security number, please?
Yeah, I mean, you also have to kind of look the part too. You can't just.
I can't just walk in and be like, "Hi, I'm a MySpace profile detector. I need to know where all the hot chicks are taking showers."
When
Give me the
Mom
list.
opened the door, Gary and Ruth burst inside wearing ski masks and carrying an assault rifle.
You're not a cop.
Well, I gave it away.
Your hat that's going over your face.
Oh, no, that's the new part of the uniform. We don't want to be identified as... We don't want... fuck it, just get in the car.
Where the pudding cups at, bitch?
Did that work?
They tied up the mom, knocked her out with chloroform, and informed Barbara she was being kidnapped.
Is there a permanent effect of chloroform? Like, do people just get knocked out once, or is it like 20
Your
years
nipples
later?
are permanently hard after that.
Don't be silly
it's
now.
It's really frustrating.
I want to know if these people end up with some sort of weird cancer.
I have no idea.
All right.
They put her in the car and drove 20 miles into the countryside, turned down a country road, and backed their
Smoked a
Volvo
blunt.
station wagon 100 feet into the woods. Gary got out and cleared a pile of tree limbs from a pit that contained the central item of his plan. The capsule.
What? What do you mean the capsule?
About 8 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet high, the capsule was Gary's obsession. The walls consisted of 3 layers of 1/4-inch thick plywood, reinforced with steel brackets, wrapped in fiberglass cloth for insulation and padding. A compartment at the end of the box contained a 12-volt motor, which powered a fan that would help cycle fresh air through a pair of long tubes.
Is this underground or?
Inside was a lamp, a pillow, a blanket, a sweater, candy, a waste bucket, maxi pads, and 3 gallons of drinking water laced with sedatives.
Oh my God! She even gave him I bet that's what the Jew broad
This
probably helped.
motherfucker's a supervillain.
Oh, yeah.
But the chick-
Oh, yeah, dude. Look at the pages we
He
have
has
left.
maxi
He's a
pads.
supervillain.
He has maxi pads there because that's why you team up. This is the future's female. This is why you got to work with a chick. She's going to remind you.
That's considerate of him.
Yeah.
Although the sedatives in the water's kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, if you have to pass the time in an underground grave,
I
like
guess-
being like kind of drowsy or knocked out for a lot of it's probably helpful.
It's like, you know what? You want me to hang out? Get me high.
When Barbara saw her living grave, she was understandably perturbed. She pleaded with them not to bury her, repeating, "I'll be good." They hit her with a chloroform rag, lowered her into the capsule, and closed the lid. Gary sealed it shut with 14 screws, and Barbara listened through the air tubes as they covered her with hundreds of pounds of dirt and branches, started their car, and drove away.
Oh, that would give me the runs. Is there a bathroom in there?
There's a bucket.
There's a waste bucket.
There's a bucket to bathroom in.
Yeah, that's not a cool part of the story. I'd be like,
When
I need to
her-
flush this now. I'm had the nervous runs for a while, and just a bucket full of your fucking stinky, fucking freaked out shit.
Well, you got 3 gallons of fresh H2O.
Yeah.
With sedatives.
H2O.
With sedatives, though, you might be like, can I drink more of this? Is it going to kill me or is it just going to relax me more?
When her initial panic subsided, Barbara took stock of her surroundings.
And started meditating as she should.
Under the box of maxi pads, she found a long note in all caps that began, "Do not be alarmed. You are safe." It went on to explain her situation. Gary would check on her regularly, and within a week, either her father would pay or they would release her anyway. Either way, they assured her she would be home by Christmas.
Okay.
It also described the features of the capsule, ensuring that she was safe, but that attempts to tamper with any of the systems could result in her suffocating, drowning, or being eaten by ants.
Wow, that's well. Unless they're just telling her that to scare her, I'd be like, come on, everything you had pretty solid, and now you're risking that.
Probably a bit of both.
Ants might eat me. That's kind of deal breaker on you having morals.
But if she left it alone and didn't overuse the lamp, the note stated the system would run for over 11 days, well beyond the deadline for her father's ransom.
Nice.
The battery failed within 3 hours.
That's not cool.
You're a brilliant genius. Your one thing is make sure this motor runs for 11 days.
It's a battery too. Like there's just a quick, simple.
Like, I thought a 9-volt would work, man. It keeps my smoke alarm going forever.
So, this was necessary for her to breathe?
Yeah. It wasn't necessary, but it helped cycle fresh air. She had 2 tubes that helped cycle it from
So she didn't die?
She didn't. No, not at this point.
Okay.
Whoa.
She's not dead yet.
Whoa. This is...
Back above ground, Gary phoned the Mackle home and told them to check a rock in their yard, where he had secretly buried instructions. The note demanded a $500,000 ransom.
How much is that today?
A lot. I didn't do the math on that one.
And one of your track homes for me to live in.
The Mackles would signify their compliance with a classified ad in the next day's paper. The next morning, Robert Mackle's ad appeared in the Miami Herald.
We read your note, sir. We are complying.
That night, they got a call with their instructions to leave the money on a seawall near the bay. As Robert made his drop, Gary waited in a nearby small boat. The plan was to let Robert leave, speed to shore, grab the cash, and jump into the Volvo driven by Ruth.
What happens to the boat?
Just leave it there. It's not important. You have $500,000. You don't need this little tiny motorboat.
These people don't worry about evidence?
Well, just as Robert made the drop, a pair of cops strolled on by. Gary ditched the boat and fled on foot, and Ruth did the same with the car. They split up, planning to meet in Austin, Texas, before fleeing for Europe.
Let's get some barbecue before we go to France, baby.
Oh, I could go for some good, moist brisket.
That's what I was just going to say. I want some hot links. Paris doesn't have the best hot links. Let's do it.
But we got to make sure we don't get Franklin's. We can't stand in that all-day line and then try to make it to Europe.
I want a crepe, actually. Fuck the whole thing.
Yeah, but what was their plan to tell him where his daughter was?
Well, the plan was he would give them, once they dropped off the money, he would tell them where the daughter was buried. Or the daughter was being held. I don't know.
So they're going to leave while the daughter's going to run out of food?
The daughter has tons of, they've planned this out. Other than a really shitty battery, they've planned out her little habitat pretty well.
Okay, I'm trusting you.
Ruth would buy a bus ticket west while Gary made another attempt at collecting the ransom. This time, the drop went off without a hitch. Gary picked up the $500,000 in new $20 bills and headed straight to a boat store where he bought a 16-foot motorboat for $2,240 under the name Arthur Horowitz.
Oh, he's adopting the Jewish stuff because of his new chick. He's like, you know what? I kind of always saw myself as kind of a Horowitz or a Silverstein.
I always thought of myself as kind of an Audi. An hour later, he called the FBI from a payphone and gave them Barbara's location.
Oh.
Then he boarded his boat and sped off across the Florida canals.
What an honorable criminal. I actually am starting to like this guy.
He's planned this thing out pretty solid.
Yeah, he could be a George Clooney character in a Coen Brothers kind of mystery movie where I kind of like the criminal. You know, he's got some moral codes that I can agree with.
While he drove his
more
boat
annoying and disruptive.
100 miles up Florida's waterways, FBI agents frantically searched for Barbara. As it turns out, Gary's directions weren't quite precise.
Oh, Gary, you fucking schmuck.
They finally found the capsule,
covered
digging her
in
out
shit.
with their bare hands.
And they got her?
After 83 hours underground, Barbara was finally freed.
Oh, nice.
She immediately told her rescuers, "You are the handsomest men I have ever seen."
Did they make love to her in the capsule?
All of them.
You want to go back into that capsule,
Want to
lady?
go back in for a little second?
Right. You know
Seems
what I'm
private.
saying?
It's
Right.
padded.
Fiberglass.
That
can't happen. You have to be careful who the first person you see is when you get freed from stuff.
Yeah. Like a Black Snake Moan situation.
Right, that's another really interesting rule that you're like, it's an old saying. When you've been kidnapped, you got to be careful who you kiss after you've been rescued.
I've learned everything from movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary continued up the canals with his cash, but he didn't know that his escape wasn't clean. Earlier that day, cops responded to a call about an abandoned Volvo. They found the getaway vehicle fully stocked with checkbooks, Ruth's passport, a bunch of lingerie,
Jesus
a stack
Christ.
of dirty Polaroids, and one photo of Barbara Mackle holding a sign that read "kidnapped."
Oh,
Are you fucking kidding me? This is from the guy that's like, I'm a genius, so I'm gonna make sure we get out. They didn't even have to find a hair.
It
They found photos.
It was his Jew broad.
It was her.
I would argue though that like if you're in charge of this, he's the director of this kidnapping. It doesn't matter what happens. Anyone under you, it's
That's
still
true.
all of you.
But I think
Leadership
it's-
starts at the top.
But
Right?
it's pretty. I think it's pretty reasonable to expect your genius girlfriend to not leave behind every single bit of evidence.
Yeah.
She's not
in an
necessarily a
abandoned
genius
car.
though. Yeah, I appreciate you.
She
but
speaks 4 languages. In one of those languages, she should know.
Yeah, one of those languages should be how to get away. Are you kidding me? You speak 4 languages and you left just a piece of paper with our fingerprints and the DNA code written out longhand.
well, there's an old saying.
Why's your passport? Why'd you leave your passport?
You didn't put your passport in your pocket, of all the things? By the time Gary made it to the boat store, the kidnapping was front page news, along with the fact that a $500,000 ransom had been paid in new $20 bills to a bearded man.
And the people in the boat store were like, these are new $20 bills.
And you have a beard. Officers knew he was on the water, so when word came back from the lock tenders, so as a quick note, along these canals, there are people, they're like, there's locks, that break them up from place to place.
Yeah.
And there's people there at each one of those stations who let you through and check your registration and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they're going to be on their APB or whatever.
So when word came back from the lock tenders along the waterways of a bearded man with lost registration papers, they turned the fuck up.
Oh shit!
Soon, Gary was speeding across the Caloosahatchee Waterway. I really had to make sure I nailed that pronunciation, and I think I did.
beautiful, my friend.
Closely pursued by a fleet of police boats and helicopters. He beached his ship on Hog Island.
Not very kosher, if you know what I mean.
Arthur Horowitz is over on Hog Island?
I know, and he didn't
I
stop.
can't believe it.
He didn't stop for the bagels and lox tenders.
Fleeing on foot into dense jungle of mangrove trees. When they finally caught him after 12 hours, his first words were, "I have rights."
Well, sir, you are a fucking genius. Everyone has rights these days. Get in the car.
Ruth
Tell it to the judge. We've seen what you've been doing. Just kidding, Slaton. Go on with your story.
Ruth spent 79 days on the lam, earning the title of the first woman to make the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Whoa!
Oh, I'm so excited.
They eventually picked her up in Oklahoma when she applied for a job as a car hop waitress at a drive-in.
God, I could totally see my fucking Bubby being this kind of character.
She was convicted for her role in the kidnapping and sentenced to 7 years. She served 4 before she was simultaneously granted parole and deported to Honduras and banned from returning to the United States.
Deported to Honduras. What happens then?
Wasn't that just in time for Israel to be born?
No. Israel was born in 48.
Okay.
Yeah, this is much after that.
This is the 70s or the 60s?
This is the late 60s.
Late 60s.
This is the end of 68.
the end of 68.
Gary's trial starts in 1969, and at that trial,
What else happened in 68? Did Kennedy get shot or Martin Luther King? Someone got shot in 68.
the Supremes came out with their first album.
Shut up and go on with your story.
At Gary's 1969 trial, he tried hard to get an insanity plea, regaling the court-appointed shrink with his thoughts on thermodynamics, physics, philosophy, and the Norse god Thor.
Oh, you could tell it was contrived. You're like, yeah, you're crazy.
He recited the Celsius equivalent of absolute zero to the 4th decimal place and declared, "I am a superior human being."
What a fucking asshole.
It didn't help his case that his court-appointed attorney, James Venable, moonlighted as an imperial wizard for the KKK. Venable didn't call a single witness, but he did take time to berate all the minorities who gave statements for the prosecution.
Oh, wow.
Hey, yeah, I know you're my attorney, but would it be possible to come in a suit?
My client, nigger, Jew.
I think the robes might be throwing off the jury a little bit. If you could just maybe back it down.
He's got the KKK mask on and he's like, order! Clunk, clunk, clunk. His gavel's on fire. It's kind of a cross.
It's like, what kind of science is that?
Man, I really should have sprung for a private attorney. The public appointed attorneys are a little racist, even for my tastes.
Is it science or is it black magic?
It's all black magic.
Surprisingly, this did not go well.
Did they know about his Jewish girlfriend, Ruth?
Oh, that's a good question.
They're all KKK, and they're like, and by the way.
Nah, because he said she was Honduran.
Yeah. He's like, "Hun, that's not any better."
Yeah, that's even worse. That's like a tan Jew.
Surprisingly, it did not work, and the jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison.
Oh, ficht.
But Gary was not about to quit.
Yeah.
First, he tried filing a lawsuit arguing that the small cell, no TV, and too many turnip greens amounted to cruel and unusual punishment.
What? Too many vegetables? I'm sorry, sir. You need your vegetables. That's what I would say.
The case was thrown out.
He's like, turning up is what got me in here.
I'm trying to straighten out.
A year later, he earned 14 days in solitary for trying to dig through the floor of his cell. In 1971, Barbara released a book titled 83 Hours Till Dawn. Gary read it and sent her an apology letter, explaining that he needed the money for plastic surgery and asked for forgiveness, the public kind of forgiveness.
Wait a minute. His ex-Barbara.
No,
this is the
Barbara,
one who was
the woman he kidnapped.
Barbara's the chick.
Wrote a book about being buried alive for 83 hours. And he had sent her a note being like, hey, look, I know that kind of sucked, but I didn't kill you, and I really needed that money for plastic surgery so I could start my life over again.
That's interesting.
So could you please,
Was he
forgive me
grotesque?
publicly? No, he was claiming he was trying to change his face to, because he was on the lam from all his...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was just making a reasonable argument. Barbara, I had to bury you under the ground because I was already a felon and I needed to change my face to escape from my prison escape.
Oh, I have so much empathy for you. I'm so sorry. Yes, I'll tell the public it was no big deal and I forgive you publicly.
With my side bitch that I left my wife for that stuck with me through the first prison sentence.
Yeah, hashtag I don't talk to my real kids. Wow, what a great guy.
When she did not give him that public forgiveness, he released his own memoir, an overwritten 370-page version of his story
Titled, The Victim is a Bitch.
that consisted mostly of complaints about his life and vivid accounts of his sexual conquests.
Wow, he sounds like a real charming fellow. I'd love to read it.
I get so much pussy.
Yeah, he's like, I really know how to please a
So
woman.
much.
For someone that's been through so much, I've had her hard, but I really know how to please a woman. Do you guys like me yet?
I come from an Alaskan town of 200. I fucked 75 of those people.
In grade school. I didn't even know how to come yet.
Oddly,
Condoms would just fall off. Pubes? No thanks.
Oddly, his whiny fuck book didn't work either.
Oh, nice titling, Slaton.
So he began practicing a new skill, standing on his head for 32 minutes at a time.
And thus he became the world's first prison yoga instructor.
On March 22nd, 1973, guards got word that someone might try to escape via a barrel in the garbage truck.
He tries to run out of the prison, but on his head.
Rather than stop it before it started, the guards let the truck go and followed it to the landfill.
It's more fun that way. You know, it's a chase that I get into, right?
That's funny.
There, they finally opened the garbage barrels to find Gary upside down on the inside.
Hey, how you doing? Nothing to see here. Put the lid back on, please.
Wow, these feet look a lot like trash.
These are so brilliant. We might as well let this motherfucker go. That was brilliant.
At his trial for the escape, Gary insisted that he had no idea how he ended up inside the barrel.
I blacked out.
Look, I was going for a jog, I tripped, I fell. Next thing you know, I was feet overhead inside a barrel. I don't know what was going on, man.
And I just so happened to be practicing being on my head for 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah, it's really weird. It was such a strange coincidence how those two things came together, man.
It's weird how you guys would punish me for doing something that happened to me. It's not like I did it. I was standing on my head and I got thrown in the trash. I mean, where's the empathy?
Despite his conviction for an escape attempt, Gary thought that now was a great time to petition the parole board for release.
And while I'm here, I'd like to do the paperwork for something else as well.
To imprison me for the entire duration of my mature adult life will be both an insane waste and a crime far greater than any which I have committed.
Yeah, that's a hard argument there, feller.
Then he listed his hobbies, like engineering, swimming, table tennis, roller skating, square dancing, and, quote, attending films of an educational nature.
Was he trying to market himself to some chicks that were reading the thing?
Yeah. He's like, look, you guys totally should release me because I really enjoy giving back massages, long walks, sitting and listening to people tell stories that don't really go anywhere. You know, like I am a very impressive and empathetic person.
I work well with others. I team up for crimes.
I love buying and or cutting flowers. It's all things that I'm into.
You know how many people I've given the D?
That's what's up.
Is Ruth in trouble yet? Did she get caught?
Yeah, Ruth has already been tried.
She got deported.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's been deported. Jesus.
I mean, this whole story
forgot.
is taking place. So Ruth was in jail for a while and then got deported.
Yeah, I remember
This
she got
story's
deported to
concurrent.
Honduras. Okay, yeah. I know that. I was just testing you to see if you were paying attention.
When the parole
I'm
board
fine.
failed to be impressed by his list of hobbies, he yelled at them, quote, "I made Miss Mackle suffer for 83 hours. So far, you and the system have kept me in pain for close to 45,000.
Wow, that is a decent argument, though. That part is definitely something where I'd be like, I've never thought of it that way.
What's the exchange rate on underground versus above ground confinement?
Right? I've never thought of it that way, sir. You're released.
Yeah, hey, I don't know if it's even Steven.
Gary tried a new tactic, becoming the model prisoner. He enrolled in every available college class, trained as an EMT, and volunteered as a tutor for other inmates. He served on an inmate committee designed to ease tensions between them and the guards, but was removed and placed in solitary for allegedly advocating that they should burn down the prison chapel. Most importantly, he began to get people on his side, convincing them to write the parole board on his behalf. Many letters came in, including one from Dr. Colm, his old mentor at MIT, who argued that keeping Gary locked up amounted to, quote, needless embarrassment over the crime, and that the crime was, quote, committed very much in the spirit of a bad but harmless prank.
Wow. This is the guy that didn't like him, that was annoyed by him.
No. That guy didn't get him the job to get him away. He actually was his mentor.
Oh.
He just thought, he was like, this is a cool opportunity. You can make $1,000 extra per year, and you get to live in Miami.
Okay, I thought that guy was kind of annoyed with him because this is right after you were telling us how he's boasting about his love life and how,
I see what
So I thought his mentor boss guy was like, "Can we find him a job in a different state?" That's the action.
Bro.
If you love someone that you're working with, you're not going to be like, "Go to this other state for $1,000."
But I mean, $1,000 at that point was a lot of money.
You're right. You win the argument.
I do.
Case closed.
I'm a winner.
I'm dumb.
Purple shirt.
You're smart.
Motherfucker.
I'm ugly. You're beautiful. I don't wear purple shirts. You do.
I like that he describes the burying a woman alive as a harmless prank.
Well, in the
Gotcha.
the spirit of a harmless prank.
It's the spirit of. It's just one of those. That's a harmless prank, the same way those prank videos are, where a guy goes into a bad neighborhood and starts stepping on sneakers, and you're like, "Ooh, there's a lot going on. That's a problem here."
Right? Yeah, you're right. It's not harmless.
It's not harmless. These are Jordans. They are $455.
Yeah, but are you buried technically if there's tubes for you to breathe?
Yeah, it's
can
still
you
scary.
get up and get out?
It's still scary if there's a flood or a fire. You're still going to die
buried.
in there. Yeah,
There's no exit?
dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Brian Simpson, here is how dirt works. When there's a lot of it on top of you, it's hard to go anywhere.
I'm looking at it if I was his defense attorney, what would I?
Are you really buried if you're connected to the outside?
Your Honor,
Philosophical questions we have to answer.
Your Honor, this is practically just a new age meditation retreat.
Your Honor, the defense states this is really just like a large whoopee cushion that he put her in underground.
He gave her 2 gallons of alkaline water with sedatives.
This is 2 steps away from a mud bath,
Same thing. He was trying to help her
which
out.
is relaxing.
Your Honor, the sun is known to cause cancer. He was trying to keep this woman away from skin cancer. I think he deserves not only a medal, but she should pay him that $500,000.
See, if he was smart, he would have said she was in on it. It's like, she's just mad because I didn't give her her cut.
Even strangers wrote in on Gary's behalf, including a Georgia woman named Joan Jones, a pen pal who offered to let him live with her if he was freed.
Oh, yeah, those chicks that get all hot and horny off of fucking criminals.
Joan Jones is a fucking hilarious name, by the way.
It's a weird name.
None of that worked until he met James T. Morris, the new head of Georgia's parole board.
Yeah, things are going to be good.
Morris believed that Gary's reformation was genuine and began to advocate for his release. It nearly happened in 1976 when Gary promised that he would return to Alaska and work for his family's fishing business.
Aww.
But that was scuttled when the state of Alaska refused to take him back.
The whole state was just like, nope.
Yeah, no, he fucked all of our children when he was a kid.
He probably has a bunch of bastard kids, right? So
Finally, after years of petitions, the Alaskan officials agreed. Barbara also didn't stand in the way of his release. So on May 19th, 1979, at 33 years old...
So she wouldn't stick up for him publicly and accept his apology, but she also wasn't going to get in the way of him being released.
Yeah, she actually, part of what... So, as a side note, when you... in Georgia at the time, kidnapping with intent to ransom was... The death penalty was an option for that. And of the jurors, 8 of the 12 jurors wanted to give him the death penalty. But Barbara came up and gave a big speech about how, look, he made sure I didn't die. Like he
There was no foul play. He didn't try to kill me. He could have.
I mean, he left.
It could have been way worse. Like
he called to make sure they would find me. Like, look, he fucked up. He deserves to go to prison for life. But you shouldn't kill him because he specifically made sure I didn't get killed myself.
I mean, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, she's actually like fairly legit.
Yeah, and not to mention that, but like he went through. He probably invented something genius shit that the world doesn't need.
Yeah.
But he went through a lot of technological shit to make sure she didn't die. It's not like he just winged it.
Is this the guy who started like the prepper movement? He's like, we just used his model to build all of our little tanks.
I feel like the prosecutor would be like, yeah, but the battery lasted
3 hours.
3 hours.
Your bad math should at least get you. You should lose an arm at the minimum.
What is Bill Nye on the fucking jury?
So Gary Krist, now 33 years old, 1979, is freed, and he married Joan Jones 5 days later.
How old is he?
33.
Oh, 33.
That's it. I feel like in my mind he's like 50 something.
No, because
this all happened real
Slaton.
quick.
Yeah, Slaton gets into the details of these people's these parts of their crimes, and you think like so many years have gone by. It's like no, it's been 6 months.
He's still younger than me.
Oh yeah, he's younger than all of us. Wow. Especially Slaton.
Actually, May 19th. He is he might be just a little bit older than me by a hair. By a hair. Doing some math there, bro.
At that time, not right now.
At that time.
yeah.
No, right now he's also much older than me.
Yeah, of course.
Gary and Joan moved to Alaska, where he joined the family shrimping business.
Alaska.
But Gary is not his real name anymore, right?
Well, no, he's
back to Gary.
He's back to Gary. He was using George when he was under.
But he got arrested.
Yeah.
Went to time. He doesn't have to hide his name now, right?
Now everyone knows he's Gary. He's like, I'm George. You're like, nah, you're Gary, dude.
Gary, man.
Gary and Joan moved to Alaska, where he joined the family shrimping business. They moved back and forth between there and Seattle, where Gary began taking courses at the University of Washington, eventually setting sights on going to his old dream, becoming a doctor.
Oh my God.
But there was a minor problem of his felony conviction.
You can't go to medical school when you have a felony.
No legitimate medical school would admit him.
Of course. I don't want to fucking go to it. I don't care how good you are. If you've been a felon, I'm not going to trust you around any knives or pills.
But why can't you though?
Huh?
Couldn't you be a prison doctor?
That sounds like a cool rap name.
Yeah, but I mean, someone could decide to let you in, but they also could decide not to. There wasn't a law. It was just the medical schools are like, yeah, no. Because also it's going to be hard for you to get certified by a medical board anyway, after medical school probably, with a felony conviction. So now they're like, here's the thing about grad schools people don't realize.
Yeah, a lot of us don't know about grad school.
A law school, a med school, stuff like that. Once you're in, they desperately want you to graduate because they want you to donate back to the school in the future. That's the business model.
Really?
Yeah, that's why like at Yale Law, there's no grades. It's just you either you graduate or you don't from Yale Law.
I didn't know
Part
that.
of it is because
I could
Yale
have gone
Law
to
is
that
like,
college? Jesus.
Well, Yale Law is like, they're the #1 law school in the country. They're like, yeah, we're the best. So if you're already here, you don't need grades because you're already better than everybody else.
Wow.
But also, they
would
want
love
you
to go there and
They
just
want you to
skate by.
graduate because if they've invested that time in you, you are a potential future donor.
Is it
That's
too
the whole
late for
idea.
me to go there?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I have several credits from a local community college.
They snatch you up as children.
Oh, they do? Yeah. It's like finding the new prince.
So to
The
get
Dalai
to,
Lama of colleges.
To sidestep the felony problem, he went back to his friend James Morris at the Georgia Parole Board, and after 4 years, convinced James to force through an official pardon.
Which takes the...
completely away. He's no longer a felon. Yep.
So this guy, even though he sounds like a fucking douchey,
He's a master manipulator.
kind of
what he really
annoying
is.
asshole.
He
actually is able-
convinced the guy on the parole board to pardon him.
to get him to
And this
push
is
through a
before
pardon.
emails. You know what I mean? This means
Yeah.
he's actually writing letters, going in there. I can't believe he
Sending
can even do
carrier
that.
pigeons.
It just goes to show, like, I always tell my wife, like, just ask the person at the front desk. You can ask the guy at the bank at the fucking teller window. They can change things that you think are totally official. They can still go and be like, hey, can you just sign this off? Like, it's pretty crazy.
With his record cleared, Gary was able to gain admission to a second-rate medical school in the Caribbean.
Ah, man, come on down. We use the coconuts to revive people.
Hey, it seems like you got the cancer.
That's right, man. I prescribe you some salmon and a couple pina coladas.
We have to stop your bumba blood clot.
Oh, what the guan, you're dying, man. It's terminal, but not as terminal as this jam from Red Man.
Those are horrible.
Thank you.
Lot of mercy.
That's the number one thing we go for.
Thank you, man.
He graduated in the mid-90s and started his residency at a hospital in Connecticut. But then CBS aired a made-for-TV movie about the kidnapping, and he was fired.
People watch those?
In the 90s? Yeah, bruh.
Enough to where they'd be like, hey, that's the guy that works here.
Yeah, bruh. Wow. He briefly took a position in Haiti while searching for a job in the U.S.,
Getting closer to Honduras, if you ask me.
but that was, of course, beneath him. So he moved back to Georgia, taking a construction job while he applied for residency, but kept getting turned down. He even called the director of the medical board in Georgia trying to explain his, quote, little problem with the law.
How'd that phone call go?
But when he told the man his name, the guy said, Gary Krist. Gary Stephen Krist? As luck would have it, the director of the medical board in Georgia was the son of the lead FBI agent on the Barbara Mackle case.
He was like, my daddy actually worked on this case.
Yeah, so he's like, no. So finally in 2001, the medical board of Indiana, needing doctors for rural areas, granted him a provisionary license.
He's a doctor in America, in Indiana?
Yeah, well, in 2001.
Whoa, is he involved in September 11th?
Well, that's real close to now.
Yeah.
Oh, this story gets real close. We're not done, dude.
That's 9/11 territory right there.
He settled in Chrisney, Indiana, a small town of around 500 people. He quickly ingratiated himself to the population, making house calls and charging as little as possible. He once kind of famously said, "If all you have is a chicken, bring me a chicken, and I will treat you."
Oh, this guy sounds like he has been reformed.
But eventually, the news cameras came calling. When a reporter from a local station tried a gotcha interview, Gary chastised him on camera. Quote, ambush journalists inflicting pain on people who are trying to do the right thing are almost as shameful as Osama bin Laden.
See, I told you 9/11 was coming into this motherfucking story.
In 2003, the state medical board gave him a 90-day suspension for failing to adhere to his supervisory agreement.
What was that? What was the agreement?
He was supposed
He wouldn't
to
bring up Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
I fucking told him to keep his mouth shut.
I thought, dude, I just told you, don't mention 9/11.
It's still hush hush. It's too soon.
Too soon, bro.
He's like, but it's 2001, man. That's all we can talk about.
Many of the townspeople showed up in support of their doctor, including the Reverend, who was kicked out after tossing a stone at the board members.
The Reverend?
Yeah.
Oh,
the town
fuck.
Reverend threw out those who throw stones type shit.
And then threw an actual stone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
so
it was
funny.
a kidney stone that the doctor helped him pass.
Oh my god, that's gross, but also fucking
my
badass.
doctor.
That's my doctor. That's a cool sitcom title.
But all the rocks in the world couldn't stop what was coming next.
Tell me about it. Smoking that.
As part of the investigation into his hearing, the Indiana Attorney General began turning up reports from his other brief residencies across the country. In West Virginia, one hospital held a collection of disciplinary reports. One was for telling a 13-year-old girl with an eating disorder that she had, quote, a big butt.
That's what he did?
Yeah.
That is fucking hilarious. Oh, dude.
Another patient...
Wait, that was in the days when having a big butt was an insult?
I guess.
So like when you said that, people were like, I'm fat. And then now you say you have a big butt, they're like, thank God.
Oh my gosh, I've been trying so hard.
That turned out to be the granddaughter of Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Another patient
I cannot lie to you. I'm a doctor. We swear by it.
Another patient complained that he said she had big boobs during a breast exam.
Okay, so he's being a fucking pig now. Great.
Another note chastised him for telling a woman that, quote, her boyfriend must be thrilled when giving her the news that she had tested positive for HIV.
Oh, wow.
What? Your boyfriend must be... Okay, so he's got a wicked sense of humor.
Yeah, dude, I mean, he could do the check spot easy. He's all crowd work, man.
So people are super stoked on him in the town in Indiana, and they're vouching for him, but he really is going around the... like.
Well, this was back when he was in West Virginia. He was still like a trial doctor. You know, he was still at his... He was a young man in his 40s or whatever, or 50s or whatever. Still learning the ropes.
manners about how to talk.
He's not so much evil.
No.
As he just genuinely believes that he's superior to the rest of the species.
God, yeah. Who else felt like that? That was also not. It's not usually not an evil thing. People feel right that they're superior to others.
Well, it usually
very not.
It usually
evil.
ends up them doing evil shit. But
Yeah, you're right. He did nothing evil. He only stole 4 cars, burned down a grocery store, kidnapped the woman, buried her alive. Yeah, no, I think this guy. I'm going to vote for him for mayor.
he never killed anyone.
So far, you know.
Right? This kind of guy could have killed somebody.
So he and his stepson. So he had his license revoked in August of 2003.
Okay.
So he and his stepson, Jackie Greason, formed a construction company.
Jackie Greason?
Greason, yeah.
Like how a Japanese person says Jackie Gleason?
Yes, yes.
Oh, favorite American comedian, Jackie Greason. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, very funny. Hi.
They formed a construction company claiming it specialized in sheet metal fabrication and, quote, bulletproof rooms.
Oh, wait, because he already has the experience of building underground silos?
He's like, look, if there's one thing I know how to do, it's
Oh my God.
nail 3 things of plywood together.
I'm telling you, he started the prepper movement.
But Greason and Krist Construction Incorporated didn't appear to build anything, but it did rent boats. In late 2004, they rented a 39-foot sailboat for 2 weeks in Alabama. 1 year later,
In Alabama?
on the coast of Alabama.
Oh, okay.
1 year later, they rented another. Their lease agreement stated they should travel no more than 200 miles from port. But when they returned the boat, the GPS had been erased. Ooh. The owner couldn't prove how far they'd gone, but he did find clues: a map of the Caribbean Sea, tubing that smelled of diesel fuel, which looks like it used to siphon gas, and 7 rolls of Colombian toilet paper.
It's a weird list. 7 rolls of Colombian toilet paper.
In January 2006, Gary's stepson reserved another boat. This time, the feds were ready, secretly placing a tracking device on board.
Was he bringing cocaine from Colombia?
On February 6th, Gary weighed anchor, and on the 21st, the tracker showed up, making port in Colombia. On March 6th, the feds had their agents set up all along the coast, laying in wait for his return.
He was going to Colombia and telling girls they have big butts. Of course, if you want to find girls with big butts, you go to Colombia. There's more of them.
The biggest team hid out at the Grand Hotel in Fairhope, which they thought as a likely destination as it had been closed because of Hurricane Katrina. At 3 p.m. that day, Gary pulled into the dock to meet his stepson, and a dozen agents swarmed immediately. Grabbing him on land rather than at sea proved to be a smart choice. Tied to the back of the boat was a cooler containing 38.6 pounds of paste cocaine, worth around $2 million.
Oh, damn, Gary, you fucked up, Gary.
It also held a bag of cement. If they had tried to take him at sea to prevent a water transfer,
You could have just cut it.
cut the rope and let the evidence sink to the bottom of the ocean. But that wasn't all they found. In the hold, they discovered 4 men, 2 Colombians and 2 Ecuadorians, who had each paid $6,000 to be smuggled into the U.S.
Oh, this guy just couldn't stay out of trouble. Gary.
Gary.
What a name. Isn't that a name that you just want to be like, God damn it, Gary?
Come on, Gary.
Gary, what the fuck were
Get
you
your
thinking?
shit together, Gary.
Gary, I told them you were square.
You're definitely Gary Krist, because Christ wouldn't mess up this much.
That's right. You're Garying back to pre-zone.
A few days later, the agents searched his house. On the floor of his backyard shed, they discovered a hidden trap door.
Oh, God, with a woman stuck inside like that
At
movie,
the
The
end
Room.
of a 7-foot ladder was a new capsule. Measuring 27.5 feet long and 8 feet in diameter, the
Called
workshop
the cock capsule.
had electricity, running water, and the equipment for converting cocaine paste into cocaine powder.
I didn't know you had to do that.
It also had a 50-foot escape tunnel leading to a camouflaged barrel in the woods.
Oh, this guy sounds like a good time.
On May 16th,
Tunnels.
2006, he pled guilty to drug smuggling and was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison.
That's it?
He was released in November 2010. In 2012, he was sent back to prison for a parole violation after sailing to Cuba and South America without permission. He was released July 2nd, 2015. He currently lives in a secluded home at the end of a dirt road an hour outside of Atlanta.
Gary.
Damn.
He didn't spend a lot of time in prison for doing a lot of naughty things, right?
Well, another thing, too, is, remember, he got the kidnapping was pardoned, so that couldn't affect his drug smuggling conviction.
Oh, he really got away with some.
Oh, he got away with some shit, bro.
But at the end of the day, he's not. He doesn't sound like the worst person in the world. He just sounds like kind of like he was addicted to criminal acts and doing things the wrong way. But he didn't kill.
The weird thing for me about shit like this is that there's always, like, no matter how heinous the person is, there's always a part of me that wants them to get away.
Sure.
Sure.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I mean,
It's the cat and mouse primal urge, though. Like you're being chased, and you're empathizing more with the chasee than the chaser.
because aren't you always upset when the criminal makes a dumb mistake? And you're like, oh, you could have.
You always kind of feel like you do better.
It's like watching a sport. It's like watching a sport on
It is.
video.
It
You're
is.
you're seeing it, so you see the big picture. So, yeah.
right.
I gotta say too, we never said come on this episode. Sorry,
Mom. That's the latest Sorry Mom in the history of the show, I think.
Right? We didn't say come, or did we?
There was very little cum.
If you guys heard come early in the episode, if we didn't sorry mom it, please.
send us a tweet about it
Send
to
us-
tell us where the cum was.
Complaint department at
No,
crime.
dude, I keep track of all the comes that are said around me. There were no
There were no cums.
No, not till the end.
No comes.
Dude, we did it.
We did it. Well, we still. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Kinda did
we
do
still
it,
came.
yeah.
Right?
Today's sources include The Talented Dr. Krist by Steve Fennessy for Atlanta Magazine,
Way to go, Steve! Great book.
Gary Krist, The Einstein of Crime by David Krajicek for TrueTV.com,
Great job, David.
The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and of course, The Evil Robots at Wikipedia.
Evil robots at Wikipedia.
Wikipedia! Brian, where can people find you on the interwebs?
A short wide neck on Twitter and Instagram.
Short Wide Neck on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Dope. Guys, you can also support the show again. Let me remind you about that Patreon. Jump on there. We have a bunch of silly stuff going up for bonus episodes, and we'll have some cool little prizes going up there as well. Also, the live show, Saturday, March 17th, at the Comedy Store. Crime Live!
Wait, I gotta do it with you, you bitch.
Crime Live! So come check that out. It's going to be super duper crazy fun. We're hoping to do a bunch more live dates across the state and maybe even out of state over the course of 2018. So come check that out. Also, please keep coming with those super cool 5-star ratings and reviews.
Oh, and hit that share button.
Yeah.
Send it to
That
somebody you know.
share
It's helping
button,
us, guys.
bro.
We're growing. We got like a small but mighty group of fans, and we're growing like every month. So please.
And every now and then, I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Every now and then, just
Performing or just
go
grubbing
to a
down on
Buffalo
Wild
Wild
Wings?
Wings.
Just eating wings.
Oh, hell yeah. You got what's your favorite sauce? What do you dip it in?
I get the whole plethora. Sometimes I
yeah.
just go through it.
Variety.
You can follow us on all the socials at CrimePod, CRiiiMEPOD. You can also email us crimepodcast@gmail.com with story suggestions, questions, dick pics for Shefty. For Shefsky. Also, yeah, as far as those reviews go, we probably got our favorite review so far.
Oh, this is the best one, dude. This is from
Zipe Totek.
Sipe Totek. I think it's Nate is his name.
Is that Stipe Miocic?
Yeah, Zipe-Miocic is a huge fan of the show. When he's not busy taking down heavyweights, he is jumping all over us, bro.
Dude, this is the best 5-star we've gotten because it took this guy a while to type up something so eloquently insane too.
Zippy Totek. That's how you pronounce it. Zippy Totek.
What's it titled, Slaton?
The title of this review for 5 stars, A History Lesson on Whippets.
So that to me, when I hear that, when you read that to me, I thought that it's saying.
Is there a weird wah 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 sound in the back?
No, I don't do whippets. All right, I'm a white guy from the suburbs. I smoke weed. I drink whiskey,
And you
then
did whippets as a
I drink
teenager
a lot
because
of
that's
water.
what you did in junior high.
What? I remember whippets. I do remember that
Brrrap.
actually. Bop. But the title, A History Lesson on Whippets, to me sounded like him saying that this is like we're teaching you about whippets. It doesn't say, like it's a comparison, like analogous to the statement like a history. It's like a history lesson on acid. But the statement a history lesson on whippets sounds like you're saying it's a history lesson on whippets.
Thanks,
like
Zippy Totek.
Like if it said it's a history lesson on purple shirts, I wouldn't think that it meant like that you were. It sounds like you're saying
That would mean you were dope as fuck because you're wearing that purple shirt game.
What is your
What's up,
obsession
purple shirt crew?
with the purple shirt?
It's a
That's
thing.
what I wanna know about
It
him.
goes
What
back
is-
and forth. I like them. He doesn't.
I love them when they're pastel-y, and once in a while I used to have a
They're
Smashing
the
Pumpkins
best.
shirt
They're the
that's
best
purple.
color for shirts all across the planet.
Worst color for shirts.
Purple shirt party.
Dude, should we read this thing? It's long and fun.
You know what? How about this?
We'll read it in a bonus episode.
Well, yeah, we'll read that on one of the bonus episodes if you want, or you can also go to our go on
Let's
iTunes
read it on a bonus episode.
and check out. It's fucking great. So thank you, Zippy Totek. History lesson on whippets is now the primary way I describe this show. So thank you guys. Check out Brian Simpson on all of his socials. Go see him do live stand-up. He's all over. You can see him everywhere, but especially in California and Los Angeles and San Diego. He's a killer. You can come see Shefsky and I. Oh, by the way, I am going to be headlining in San Diego at the Madhouse on March 21st, not February 14th. I'll still be there February 14th, but I'm not headlining until March. So if you want to come check that out.
Wait a minute. I think I'm headlining February 14th.
Oh, you're doing the Valentine's Day show at Madhouse? No, I'm on that.
No, I'm not doing
Oh, well then get the fuck out of here. Guys, thanks for sticking around. Keep being dope. We'll see you guys for this next week's episode, but also we'll see all of you on March 17th because I know you all your plane tickets ready and your hotel's booked. So come the fuck out.
Please come out, guys, and just remember, always be SHF. Just be silly and have fun.
Bye,
Life's too
robot.
short. Bye, guys. Peace out. Love you.